Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. I hope you are having a great day. In this video, we are going to see how to upload your data to a MySQL database and read the data from a SQL database. So we are not going to use MySQL, but we are going to use a SQL database called Supabase, which is a Postgre SQL. So and this is the data. I have two tabs here. One is write and read. So in the write tab, this data will be uploaded to the database, and where in the read, this is going to be downloading the data from the database. Okay, so this is the Supabase website. You can set up your own account. So it requires a GitHub account, and once you set up, it will ask you to create an organization. By default, it will name as the name in your GitHub repository or the username. Yes, username. So first you can create you have to set up a project. So I have already set up a project, but we are going to see how to set up a project and everything from scratch, but I will just show you how it works. Okay, so one good thing about Supabase is that it gives the API links, so you don't need to spend time on creating the API links. Supabase already does that for you. So you just need to link the API and API key to upload or download the data. So I have set up a project. I'll show it to you now. So I have created a table in that, which is called sports. So this is the data which is uploaded yesterday while I was preparing this template. So the same data is downloaded here. Okay, let me delete all the data. So I just created a simple data with sportsman, sport and their country. Okay, so I have written some a script which has two functions, write and read. Okay, so in write function, it is going to upload the data, whereas in read function it is going to download the data. So what I'm going to do is, so we have 15 entries, and yesterday this early morning I have uploaded the data. So I'm going to run the function again, the write function. If I run it, it should upload the data, this whole data, so which has 13 entries. Okay, now the execution is complete. So let's refresh the table. Okay, now you can see 28 entries. So 15 plus 13, which is 28 entries. You can see all the details here. So let's do the same with a read. Okay, let's run the read function. Okay, you can see total 28 entries here. Okay, so I hope you understood what we are trying to do. So now I will create a new sheet. Let's create everything from scratch, and I have already created a template for you. So this is the Google Sheets templates I have for you. Like, so far we have two templates, so this is the third one. So I'm going to provide this link in the description. You can check out the other templates as well. So this is the link to the template, and this will be the link to the video. So at this moment I'm still preparing the video, so I haven't linked it, but after this video I'm going to link it. Okay, let me close this. Okay, all right. So first of all, let's go to Supabase. I'll show you to how to do it from beginning. Okay, let's create a new project. Okay, the project name is, for example, sheet YouTube. So set up your region, whichever is nearer to you, and Password, I'll just click on generate password, click new project. Okay, it is setting up a new project. Okay, while it do, let me start working on the script. So I'll say Supabase template YT. Okay, for name, sport, country. Sachin, cricket, India. Imran Khan, cricket, Pakistan. Shane Warne, cricket, Australia. Okay, so am I spelling it right? Australia, correct. Now let's stick with these three. So it's only for demonstration purpose, right? So let's stick only with three. I'll call this name sheet as write. I'll call this name sheet name as read. Name sport country. Okay, done. Let me open a script. Okay, now the project is created. Let me create a table. Create new table. I'll call it as sport. So by default you will have two columns, ID and created at. So let's keep them and let's add new columns. One is name, select variable character. Second one is sport, and third one is country. Okay, ID created at name sport country. Save. Okay, now the table is created. Now we need to get the API links and set it in the app script so that it will upload or download the data. So you will find an option here called API. Click that. So go to tables and view sport, and you have JavaScript model. If you are using uh, Nest Nest.js or any other JavaScript frameworks to build an application. So this is the model. Instead, we are going to use Bash. So you can see the API links and the headers. So what we are going to do now, first we are going to write the table, right? This is read insert rows. Yeah, this is the one. So insert a row. Let's copy this one, the whole item. Let's name the script. Okay, done. So what we are going to do, we are going to get each item from this sheet and push them to this table with this API link. Okay, so this is the API URL. So let's create a constant, call it as API URL is equal to Okay, so the next one is a header API key. So const API key. Okay, so API key it is saying as Supabase key. Let's go back to Supabase, go to settings, go to API. You will find the API key which is called anon public. Copy this one. Okay, add it here. Okay, next header is authorization content type. So we'll get to that later. So before that, let's write the function. Write. Oh, I forgot to get the sheet. So okay, sheet is equal to spreadsheet dot get active spreadsheet, which will be this entire spreadsheet. And now we need to get the right sheet. Okay, sheet. I'll call it as right sheet is equal to sheet dot get sheet by name, which is right. Okay, let's start writing the function. So we need to create a loop, and we need to push each item to the database. Okay, so first we need to create a for loop where I equal to, we need to start from the row 2. So let's put it as 2, and I is less than or equal to, we need to pick up the last row of the sheet. So here it is 4. So you can simply do that by creating one more variable. Let's call it as right sheet last row is equal to right sheet dot last row. Okay, this will give us the value as 4. So now in the for loop, I is less than or equal to right sheet last row, and we need to increment the I plus plus. So within here, we'll need to in the for loop we'll need to uh, push the values with these items. So for that there is a function called URL fetch app. Okay, so there is a class. So this is a class. You have to use URL fetch app dot fetch. Yeah, this is the one. If you want to post values to the database, you'll have to use this method. Okay, let's do that. So URL fetch app dot fetch. The first one is API URL. Okay, comma, and we'll have to provide the options. Okay, so you can see the options. So one option, the first one is the headers, and the second one is the payload. Okay, so let's put it as headers. Okay, before that let's define the method. Okay, method is post headers. First one is API key, which is API key, API URL. Okay, I'm sorry, API key, yeah, which is API key, this one, correct. So the next one is authorization. Okay, bearer space Supabase key, which is nothing but API key. So let's use backticks bearer, and this is a variable, right? So let's put it in the brackets with the dollar sign. and the next one is content type is application slash JSON. Okay, the next one is prefer return equal to representation. Okay, done. So now we define the headers. So the next one is content type is also defined. The next one is the payload, which is the data. Okay, so JSON.stringify of data. So data, let's put it in, let's send it manually. So the first item in the table is name, second one is port, and third one is country. Let's provide dummy data for now, just for testing. So name, I'll put it as my name, Sudeep. Sport, for example, video games. Third one is country. India. Alright, so let's see, let's run the script and see if it is working, and we can remove this one. This is not required. Okay, let's run the script. So it will ask you to log in. This is a mandatory step. Okay, there are no errors. The execution is completed. Let's refresh the table. Okay, you see this? We got 3 entries because we have looped it. So we have 3 items here. So that is why it has entered 3 items. So instead of these values, now what we are going to do. So we are going to provide the information from the sheet. So instead of Sudeep, I will put it as write sheet dot get range of row, which is I, comma 1. So name is 1, sport is 2, country is 3. Get value. Okay, this one is 2 and this one is 3. Okay, let's run the script. Okay, execution completed. Let's refresh the dashboard. The table. Now you can see all the details have come here, right? So write is working fine. Now we need to read this table into this sheet. Okay, now let's write the function for read. Okay, so in order to read, again we have to call the API as provided in the documents. So read rows, this is the one, and go to bash. So here just these items would be sufficient. So I'll paste it here for reference. Okay, we just need to use API link, Supabase key, and authorization. That's all. Okay, and this method is get method. So we are going to use the same function, URL function fetch app, but in a different way. But we are going to use a variable called response. So this is where the data will be saved. URL fetch app dot fetch and API URL. Same. Now we are going to provide the options. Okay, now the method is get. Okay, and headers So we don't need a payload now because we are fetching the details. Okay, so headers, so we don't need these two items, so I'm deleting them. Okay, once we get the response, let's log it so that we'll see how it is going to look like. Okay, now let's remove this part, save that. Okay, let's run read function now. Okay, so we are getting something here which is not readable, so we need the content. So the content is here, get content text. So you'll have to use response dot get content text. Okay, let's run it again. Okay, you see that now we have the data, but this data is not in JSON format. So it looks like a JSON format, but it is not readable. Okay, so what we have to do is let's create one more function called response JSON is equal to okay, so we are going to parse JSON.parse, and now let's see how the data looks like. Okay, now it is in JSON format. So we need to pick each item, and we are going to loop the number of times we have, right? So let's copy this one. Before looping it, we need to understand how the data is structured and how do we pull the data. Okay, let's go to JSON online editor. Here you can paste the data. So here you can see if I want to get Sudeep, my name. Okay, so you'll have to use 0 and name. Okay, so this is the path. So 0 is array and name is the actual name. So if I go to the next item, it is going to turn into 1. So you'll have to loop all the items with the array number. Okay, so it is always better to see how the data is structured before programming. Okay, now we don't need this. I will write a for loop I is equal to 2, which will be the second row, and I is less than or equal to response JSON dot length I plus plus. Okay, now we are going to print the data on the sheet. So the sheet here is we haven't declared the variables for that. So where read sheet is equal to sheet dot get sheet by name read sheet. We also need a last row because we need to add the data at the last, right? So read sheet dot get last row. So instead of 2, let's put it as the last row. And here if you see response dot length, so here the length is let's go to the table. Here the length is total 6 items. Okay, so once I add 6 items, if I want to run it again the second time, it will not work because the length of the last row will be less than the length of the row. For suppose I have added all the data here. Okay, I will show it to you instead of explaining. Okay, so let's loop the values now. Okay, so read sheet dot get range of I comma 1. So 1 is the name dot set value. So in the previous function we used get value. Now here we are using set value. Set value JSON response. So array 0 dot name. So we are going to loop 0. The second one is port. Third one is country. Right? Okay, let's see if it works. Just last row of null, row 10. What is wrong with this thing? Get sheet equal to sheet dot. Okay, get sheet by name. Sorry. Okay, now execution is success. You can see the data has pasted here, but it has removed the header, and also it is showing only first row. This is first row because I have added only 0. So we are going to loop that so that we can get the actual numbers. Okay, so instead of last row we have to use last row plus 1. My mistake. Okay, good. So let's remove this one. Okay, let's keep it. I'll show you what I mean. So if I run it again, data will not be pasted at the bottom. The reason is now the last row is 7. Last row plus 1 is 7, and the length of the JSON is 5. Right? So which does not satisfy this value, this condition. So what we have to do is plus last row. Just add plus last row, which is 6 plus 5, which is 11. Now if I run it, okay, alright, so let's loop 0 now. I'll create one more variable called loop count is equal to 0. Let's start from 0 because array starts from 0. I'll call the loop count instead of 0 loop count. Let's add loop count, and let's increment loop count to by 1. Okay, so you see that. So total 6 rows, 6 items. Okay, good. Now read and write both are working fine. Alright, so that's all about this video. If you have any questions or confusions, you can reach out to me. I am already providing the source code in the description, so you can refer it. And yeah, that's all for this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you. Bye bye.